because it's hell going through divorce. You feel like you're alone, and you're not. You're absolutely not. This is a safe space. I want men and women to watch the show, married people, divorcees, single people. I want everyone to watch the show. We all have challenges in relationships, and sometimes you just need a safe space. You need to hear that someone else has gone through something so you can get through what you're going through. Hi, this is Sharon Moman, author of Pardon, the Courage to be Set Free. Welcome to the Pardon Me series. Hi.
Yay!
Hi.
Welcome to episode 2, right?
2.
And I was thinking, it's something I was thinking how you named chapter 2, The Shift. How so much shifted in your life with that chapter alone. And I was thinking about how in life there's always a shift. Now we can shift the positive or we can shift to the negative. And that's kind of like the purpose of this show. Learning and teaching people how to shift correctly, right?
Yes, maybe that's a follow-up book. The Shift or the Ship.
Okay. And it's interesting because we learned in chapter 1 about Warden 3. And you continue. You guys were just dating at the time.
Right.
If you don't know, we're talking to the one, the only Miss Sharon Moman, author of Pardon, the Courage to be Set Free. Or let me make sure I say it right. I said it right. The Courage to be Free. And the thing is,
set free, because you're already free, but you've got to determine if you're going to set yourself free. You can have a checkerboard. But you can't play it unless you set it up.
Yeah.
So you're free, but you just don't know it, and you gotta set yourself free.
You gotta do
set yourself free. You gotta do the work,
which is what you have done and continuously done, and have you actually been transparent about the mistakes you've made, the signs you've ignored. So a part of this episode, we're still thinking about to name it the shift or red flags. Really, because when we started, it was like, but interestingly, in chapter 2, you talk about. I'm gonna read this passage to you, and as I want to immediately tell me what you think once I finish reading the passage.
Okay.
I knew he was double-minded and even a liar sometimes. I remember his lying to someone on the phone, and I thought, that was easy for him. I said to myself, we're not going to have any problems as long as he doesn't do that to me. And why would he? I'm his little butterfly, whom he loves and adores. Houston, we have a problem. Before me, I was as naive as one can be. What comes?
Okay. 2 things. One, again, people, when you meet them, they put their best foot forward. You don't see everything. So I hadn't seen that. I hadn't experienced it. So I don't know if he forgot I was in the room or, he just slipped and he decided to do that. But that was like the first time. And I noticed it. My spirit man noticed it. My physical man noticed it. And then, like I said, I'm his little butterfly. So ego, I tell you, we miss these times because of our own ego. We're like, no, I'm a butterfly. He ain't gonna do he wouldn't do that to me, So first, people hide those things. And second, your ego.
Okay. What else came to mind to that? Did you feel like, did you come back to this place, or you remembered, like I actually remember that day when he was calling?
Well, I mean, it's like when he got off the phone, we it was in that honeymoon stage of dating, not marriage, but where everything was still just, he was cooking food for me. He was doing all this stuff, and I did not think that was going to be the norm.
Okay.
I did not think that was going to be the norm. So,
because how often does women do that in general. They get into relationships and they see what he would do to somebody else, but never assume that he'll do it to them. Why do we?
It's like a lot of chicks who date the married man and think that when he get with them that he's not gonna do what he did her to her to the new chick. And it's like, don't be naive. If he's doing it to her, he's gonna do it to you. So yeah.
What causes us to be naive?
I think just our own assessment. I mean, we're looking at the information we're given. Remember I said that before. Whatever information we're getting, sometimes that's what we based our decision on. And some people do bury their heads in the sand. I wasn't burying my head in the sand at that moment. Later on, I was. And I wasn't naive then. You're just naive because it's like being ignorant. You just don't know certain things. And until you experience it, then you have enough information to make a decision based on that information. I mean, I wouldn't say, oh, you lied to someone on the phone. Bye, boy. I'm out of here. I'm never going to see you again. I mean, that's not what you do. You know what I'm saying? It's not until one behavior topples another behavior and another behavior. It's like layers on a cake, and the cake just gets bigger and bigger.
Which is interesting because I was going to ask you if you was in a relationship now and that phone call came, what would you do? But I'm hearing you say, it was the way you just looked. It was like, girl.
Cut it off. I would cut it off because, it's for me, that naiveness, I was thinking, oh, this is just a one-time thing, everybody kind of tell a little white lie. I remember my kids were little. My mama would call me all the time. And sometimes I didn't want to talk to her. So I would go in the bathroom and I would say, tell your grandmama I'm in the bathroom. It was a lie, because I just ran in there. I really wasn't using the bathroom. So I looked at it. That was not my naiveness. I was looking at it like that, like, okay. But there was just more to come.
Ooh, so that's what I'm hearing you say. It was, now you will see it as patterns. If you start seeing the pattern, then it will be the red flag. The red flag is not, oh, he just lied. It's like, okay, if he does this again, he's showing me who he is.
Right. And this is what I have decided to do moving forward in my life. If I get into a new relationship, write down, whenever you say, write down what that is on that date.
Wow.
Because your mind and heart can play tricks on you. Did he do that? No, because it slightly changes a little bit. It's not the same thing, but it's one of your core values that you don't, that you don't want, and that you do not want to be manipulated or changed. Because when they do it, then you start doing it. The behavior is mimicked. So, I had said to myself, start writing stuff down. And I had started writing stuff down even with him. I was like, okay. But I didn't do it early enough. I did it after I said I do. And that was just for my sanity, because he always tried to gaslight me and tell me I didn't see what I saw or heard what I heard, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I remember that in the book where you set him up, was you started plotting and say, you know what? Oh, okay, I got this. I was thinking like,
you got to set up a sting. Yes, you got to set up a sting every now and then. I mean, and it's proof to yourself. It's proof to yourself that you're not lying, because I'm telling you, when I read this about what my main thing is for everyone to get from this book is own your power, own your authority. And I said, well, let me look up the words power and authority. I kind of know what it means, power. I know what authority means, someone over someone. But this is what Webster said. Power, the ability to direct or influence the behaviors of others or the course of events. So when a person that you're married to or dating, if they presume the power all the time, they are going to influence your behavior. and they're going to set the course of events, bad events or good events. And then authority is the power or the right to give up orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. I was like, you don't even know you're being given orders, because it's not like soldier, go do this, don't do that, but you are being given orders just by their behaviors, because their behavior is influencing you.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you start changing, your naiveness has left. You are being dysfunctional. That's when you are being dysfunctional. You have went from naive to being dysfunctional. And that was me, just totally being dysfunctional.
I want to talk about why. This is a good segment, and why. It's like, how do you get to that place?
Girl gone wild. Let me tell you what. You've been a good girl all your life. It's no coincidence some of us good girls get bad boys. Let's just say that. And you've been a good girl all your life. And so a little dysfunction, you kind of like it because it gives you an excuse to do what you want to do, and it gives you a chance to act up. You've never really acted up before. So you act up. And so some of the times, I was like, okay, all right. So yeah, dysfunction. A lot of people who are good people got this little bitty itch to be bad.
Yeah.
They do. And bad people have a little bit of itch to go do good. So but it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost
you. Now you say something in I'm gonna say on page 35. Well, no, let's go to page 31. Well, no, actually it's 45.
Uh-oh.
I have to read it.
Okay.
You said, my husband always lied to me, which I gladly obliged because he was always, I thought, sincere with his apologies in words and deeds. Keyword being deeds. Yes, he paid for his sins with a check, and I gave him a receipt every time. Wow, Sharon! That's to me, that's like what so many it speaks to so many relationships right now. They are focused on, okay, well, he's kind of like my security. He's like now the person who I depend on. And so it's harder to leave. It's harder to accept yourself and see the manipulative behaviors if this person is cutting checks. Can you?
Yes. Okay, so I didn't know that's what he was doing at first. I didn't figure out until, bad behavior, a gift, bad behavior, a check, bad behavior, a trip.
Wow.
It's not until a few occurrences that then you go like, okay. And then you go like, well, I ain't really going nowhere. I'm okay. It's really not that bad. And if he does something wrong, I'm gonna get paid. So that's what's in your mind. And it's like, but it's gonna cost you more. It's still gonna cost you more in the end, because they keep moving that line of what not to cross. They keep moving it. So
I really like how you keep saying it's gonna cost you more. And if people don't realize they have to calculate the cost, like how to total up the cost, you're losing yourself.
Yes.
Every time you're losing, like you said it in episode 1, it's almost like self-destruction. You're losing who you are, part of who you are, which is knowing who you are. I always say is the greatest gift that you can give to the world, you being you. But somebody's taking that whole part of you away from bad behavior. So let's talk about red flags, though. Again, going back to patterns. You still married him after you after you saw some patterns. So somebody will say, hey, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Hey, okay, a person can see the red flags. A person can know the red flags. Because you say in one chapter, you say, I knew this man, I knew him through and through. And that was before the wedding. How do you get to a place where you can still see it, still know it, and yet marry?
I mean, you froze a little bit, so say it again.
How can you get
Ask
to
the
a
question
place where
again.
you know somebody through and through? You say you knew him and still married. It's easy to see the red flags, but how do you
Right.
not ignore the red flags?
I just made a mistake and I walked away. I should have walked away. I mean, there were so many times that God said, "Hey, this is not it," but God does not make you do anything. And there were just plenty of times where I said, "Nope, nope, nope," and I should have just walked away, and I didn't.
Can I
I
say
just
something
didn't.
about that?
Yes.
The fact that you easily just admitted, like, it was almost like freedom in how you said it. I should have just walked away. It was a mistake that I made. Like, you didn't beat yourself up in it. You didn't say, I'm so ashamed. You know what, Chara? This is the part of my story I hate. No, you just like, I should have walked away. I'm like, how long did it take for you to get there? Because people are still stuck on, I don't want to talk about it. I should have seen it. But you just said it's okay.
I think they're embarrassed. I think they're I say I'm 3 husbands in, so I'm not embarrassed like I used to be. So I still remember our first year dating and I went over. I remember just driving to his house. I was like, this is just not gonna work. There's something about him that it's just not gonna work. I mean, he was funny and he was kind in his own way. And I loved his company. He was good, he was nice, like your friend said in the last episode we talked about.
Mhm.
And there was a certain level of comfort with that. But I remember going over to his house saying, you know what, he had planned a vacation to St. Martin for my birthday, and I was like, I don't want to go.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't think this is going to work out. And I just knew we did not match up. Our spirits did not match up. And I
Wow.
knew that. And the longer you stay in a relationship where your spirits not match up, their spirit's going to overtake you.
Wow.
Everyone's spirit has power and authority. And who's going to lead? You see what I'm saying? Who's going to lead? Who's going to be in control? And I just remember when we went to St. Martin and on my birthday, I was crying. I was upset. He made a comment. He'll say all the nicest thing, and then he'll say one thing, that he shouldn't say. And then he's trying to be funny, but he's being demeaning and so forth. And I was like, and I just start crying. I was like, well, he's a what butterfly? And I was like, you know what you just did. You know what you just said. And it was like, wow. And I'm telling you, and that was year 1. We were together 5 years. That was year 1.
Wow.
And it wasn't that I wasn't strong enough. It wasn't that I did not know. I just kept walking back. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people do it, but I know that would never happen again. That's the thing. I had not decided to. And only now, I thought about this day after the sermon that Bishop gave today about, writing down the vision. And I was thinking about, this podcast, getting ready for this. And I was like, you know what? I think every person should write down their vision for a relationship and for marriage. And really what that is, we have a thought process of what kind of relationship we want to have, but I've never written it down. Have you ever written it down? What you want in a relationship?
This is actually interesting that you're saying this, because it was after my divorce where I decided, okay, for my next marriage, I need a vision of what it looks like. Well, it also before the divorce, I started writing down the vision because I knew it wasn't aligning with what I knew marriage could look like. So,
right.
But we could go there right there. But what you're saying is so key. Writing down the vision of, if you're gonna write down the vision of your life, career, marriage too.
Right. And I think for younger people who've never been married, sometimes they may write down stuff that's unrealistic.
Very
and
true.
Yeah, listen to your grandma, listen to your aunties, listen to your uncles, listen to them. Because here's the thing. My grandmother told me, was getting married to the first one, she said, baby, have your own bank account. And I was like, I was 19. I was like, Grandma, that ain't the Christian thing to do, because I was taught you don't have secrets, you don't do that. And I don't think she was telling me to have a secret.
Yeah.
She was just saying, be prepared for anything.
Absolutely.
That's how she, because she had, she had experience under her belt, which is wisdom.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm like, you ain't me. We always look down on our parents and say, I know what I'm doing. And, and we think we're smarter than them, and we're spelling ourselves. And then we think the person that we're with is love us 100% every day, all of that. And love grows, love just grows, and it has to grow in the right environment.
Yeah.
You just can't grow grapes in Mississippi and expect some California wine. It's just not like that. So, yeah.
Okay, you said love grows, and I had to write this down. You said grows in the right environment.
Yes.
So this is what I remember about the book. We mentioned it in episode 1, but it's so key because it's a growth element. When you said you had your experience with God, and if I was to ask you the question, how would the viewer know that you would never go back to a marriage like you had in 1, 2, and 3? A part of that is based off how you started to grow. You grew in the presence of God. You started reading your word. You said you had this moment of just in his presence when it clicked, and you just kept reading and kept growing. Love grows in the right environment. Being by yourself. Can you talk about the importance of singlehood and spending time with God and getting to know who you are so you can continue to grow in the right environment? And by the time you meet that next man,
right.
you are.
Being in a relationship or being married is a lot of work. It's a lot of time, and it takes time away from your job, your kids, your God. It takes time away from everything. So when you're single, you got all this time. You got all this time to learn scripture, read God, and get into a certain atmosphere with him. And once that is in you, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. Like I said, you when something is off with somebody that you meet or whatever, you'll feel it quicker than you would if you had not been built up. It's like your reserve, this is your reserve. You are filling yourself with fuel. If you're not reading your Bible, you are low on fuel. And so you can't see stuff like you would if you had more fuel. You know what I'm saying? You just operate better. You just operate. So in your singleness, while you're waiting, get into the Bible, talk to God and just spend some time with him, because he is always your, first, last, and beginning. He's your first husband, and he's going to be your last husband when the other one's gone. Whether they leave or die, God is still there. So when you have God in your life in a way where it's a relationship with him, you can have any relationship with someone else. You see what I'm saying? If you have a good relationship with the Lord, and the Lord loves you and you love yourself, then you'll know when someone else really loves you or they're using you as opportunity.
That's so good. That's so good. Because what I'm hearing you say is basically that's your protection. That's your protection to know, should you stay, should you go, before you even say I do. But can I ask you this? Do you feel like your relationship with God even more gave you that courage to even walk out the freedom to talk about your past, to talk about the things that you've done in this book? Because you're just super transparent.
So when God is about to use you, you don't know. And all I know is my spirit man was tired of fighting with his spirit man, and my soul was crying out for peace.
Wow.
And I kept saying it. I kept feeling it. My soul was just, I was still being a carnal Christian and, doing whatever I was doing in the flesh. But my soul was like, it's not right. It's not right. And it was just fighting me. It was fighting me. It was trying to fight him. So it was trying to fight two people. You know what I'm saying? So I used to tease, I used to tell everybody when I after wrote my book that on that May 5th experience that I surrendered to God. I ain't surrendered. God arrested me.
Mm.
I didn't. He pulled me, and then he created that situation with Warden 3, and it made me get on my knees, fall to my knees, where I surrendered to him. And all I know is in that moment where God was talking to me, it felt like I was in a courtroom. It felt like God was on the throne, and I look over, and there is Jesus, just representing me, and I'm sitting there, and they just tell me, well, Jesus tells me that your sins are forgiven, you've been pardoned, and you're going to put you in the witness protection program. And I just feel like this is the witness protection program. I witness to people to protect them from what could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a little good church girl, but I had a couple of Christian husbands that did me wrong. So I hook up with this street person, who didn't serve the Lord like I would have wanted him. And I went in there with my eyes wide open because I did not say, okay, keep going, keep looking for that godly man, like, it's like the prodigal son. He had a good home.
Yeah.
A good home with his father. And he just said, you know what? I'm just gonna go out here and see what else over here. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like me. I just went out to see what was on the other side with ward number 3, and it cost me. It cost me.
Did his age play a part in you thinking that he maybe was wiser? Because people think that if I find an older man, then he won't be like these boys I dated. And he was older. He was in his 70s.
He didn't look older, and I didn't know what his age was. He did some nice things for me. So I sent him some flowers. So I ended up Googling his address, and I saw his age, and I was like, well, maybe that's his cousin. They got the same name. I didn't know. I had no idea, because he was like, he liked Rihanna song, Beyonce song. He knew about, what a 45-year-old man would know. I mean, and he, like I said, he was cool. I mean, the surface, everything looks good.
Yeah. Okay. Even when you find out,
cake may not be chocolate.
When you find out his age, did you think he would be wiser? Did that play a part?
I think that may have. That may have. I have. Here's the thing. I love smart men, and he was smart. He used to tell you everything about planets. Just very smart. I love smart men, and that drew me to him. Okay. So that. But then I don't know if that had anything. Well, I think I did kind of say to myself, well, he's done all of his whatever, he's got everything out of his system, he's older. So I think I did have that thought to myself and say, okay, well, he'll be a good mate, and plus ego.
Yeah.
I'm the younger, good looking girlfriend. So why would he mess up? You know what I'm saying? Why would he mess up?
And why would he mess up? And that's kind of why I want to play devil's advocate again for those who may read the book. So you mentioned that this book was written for protection, and if like it really is for a lot of women, which is why this, the red flag theme is just kind of like been torn out there, like really for real. Warden 2, which is your second marriage.
Yes.
You ended up being in a physically abusive relationship. So you don't sugarcoat either. You tell the story. You really give us a vivid picture of what you went through. Couple of questions on that. One, when you went back and started writing on it, did it trigger like, how did I go through this in 2, and then kind of like end up in this, not necessarily a physical relationship, physical abusive relationship in Warden 3, in marriage 3, but still something that wasn't as healthy, right? Can you talk about that? Like going through 2, when you started writing, did it cause trauma? And did it make you think about?
It didn't cause trauma because we have been friends for a while, and when the abuse happened, I still stayed married to him. Like most people who are abused, they still stay married. We continue to go to church, we continue to do stuff, and it got better sometimes, but it was like, mm-mm. But we've been friends for so long. After the divorce, been divorced 19 years. So,
Really? So
it didn't trigger anything. The only thing writing about Warden one kind of triggered a few things because I had forgot some stuff. And so when I was writing, I was like, oh, so that kind of, that kind of triggered some stuff, but no, not too many triggers. I think that the only thing that writing was just because number 3 was still fresh. That was more painful to write because it was still fresh. Warden 2 was 19 years ago. Other one was, 25 years ago. So not too many triggers, I would say.
Okay. Did it make you question though? How could I but it was like 19 years apart, or well, a couple of years apart. So the growth now that you have, you did not have before your wedding 3, of course, going into that third relationship. Okay.
Right.
Okay, I got it like that. But with Warden 2, with the physical abuse, was that shocking to you? Because did you grow up in the abusive home? Did you see abuse? Did it make you, or like was this the first time ever?
Right. Never saw it in my house because my mom and my dad died when I was 12. So my mom never remarried. So I never saw that. And with him, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this to you. It wasn't like that at all. For some people, God bless them who have been in a relationship like that. He would just get loud and belligerent. And he would hit the wall and do stuff like that. And I'd be like, look at him like this right here. So when the abuse did happen, I was walking away from an argument. Actually, I was telling him I was leaving him. And I was walking away and he hit me in the back of the head and I got a concussion from it. And I know people are saying, oh, you should have left and you should have left him. He called the ambulance, he called the police. He didn't say you made me do this. You didn't do, he didn't say all those things that you normally see in the movies or other people experiences and stuff like that. He owned up to what he did, but he did not change completely. He did not get continuous help for whatever his demon was, and I don't care if you saw something growing up, you can be different. You can't blame that on what you saw. You know what I'm saying? There's a story about 2 boys who grew up with an alcoholic father. One grew up and he was an alcoholic and the other one grew up and he wasn't, so you cannot use it as an excuse. You have to decide, okay, I'm just not going to do that. But that again, power and authority. Those spirits that take over the other person who want to take over what God has given you, your power and authority. And sometimes it comes in that fashion, with the Warden 3, it was manipulation. With this one, it was going to try to be physical, but I wasn't that type of girl. I was not that type of girl. So if I think that if I had shown fear, there would have been more of that going on. But I didn't show fear because when I was knocked down, I was looking for the knife.
You knew that.
I was looking for the knife. So, and when they get to that story, they'll see other stuff. But no. It only happened one time. And then, but the remainder of the years together was still just arguments and loudness and all that kind of stuff like that. And it was just, and for me, I was thinking about this earlier. He was smart and he told me what his ambition was. And I don't know, whatever reason it was, although my 2 younger boys had a great father and he was in their life, he picked them up every weekend and he talked to them. He was in their life. I wanted a father in the house for my boys.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
everybody preached, you know, two-parent family and stuff like that. I wanted a father in the house. I wasn't really looking for a husband. I was
Right.
looking for a father, an extra father for my kids.
Mm.
It's kind of what I was looking for. I was thinking about that today, and I was like, and I remember when we met at a political function, and I just remember thinking how smart he was and how he would be a good influence on my boys. And some women do that. They don't even the other part, they're just looking for a father for their children.
Wow, Sharon. Wow, you just hit on something that's so deep. Like that is real. That is where a lot
Yeah.
of people are, and how they get into those situations and end up staying because they're not looking at, if you're not healthy, if you're not taking care of yourself, forget who's in the household. Did
Yeah.
you mention that even in your book, how you didn't want your sons to look at you and see that type of abuse or that type of just
Right.
mindset?
That will hunt me forever. That
Yeah.
will hunt me forever, you know, and I can't take it back, you know, what they saw. But, you know, they're like, Mom, I talked to my middle son who's 33. He came home for Christmas and he told me, he said, Mom, I still learned some great things from Mr. Eric, you know. So, you know, it wasn't all bad, but when it was bad, it was bad. And so you don't want your kids to see that because it can be transferred. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
here I am looking for an influencer, a good father figure for my kids, and I get something different.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
something different. But again, the red flags are there before we got married. I still got married to him. Let me tell you why I got married to him. I had just broke up with this newscaster.
You and these influential people. Let's go.
So you know what? When you break up, when you get out of a relationship with someone and they've got another person, then you like, okay, I got to get me somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how we started. You know, not only because he was smart and I met him at this place, you know, but also I had got out of a relationship with another person and they had moved on, and I want to move on too.
Mhm.
And so just all the wrong reasons. That's why you gotta have a vision why you want a boyfriend, why you want to be in a
Talk about
relationship.
it. Let's go back to it.
Oh,
So, like, that is a part of that's doing the work of being
yeah.
to know, like, not to get in those patterns again, like setting a vision for your life, even for your relationship. So, have you created your vision now for your next, or even more, like you said, you was listening to the bishop today?
Not a complete list because I know I'm gonna be very detailed with it. I'll have it complete by the next episode. But one thing, I want them to know more about God than me. That
Yeah.
is number one.
Yeah.
They have to know more about God. Like I told you, I briefly dated someone and we were kind of talking, and I didn't hear what, my spirit wasn't jiving with his spirit. I was like, mm-mm. And then he showed his butt, and I was like,
Yeah.
block.
Yeah.
Thank you, Apple. Thank you for blocking privileges.
Okay, real
But
talk.
yeah, but so for me, that's important. For everyone will have their own list and what's important to me. For me, I need to know that you love God more than you love me. If you love God more than you love me, then you'll be okay with me.
That's
You won't.
it.
There will be less of a chance for you to hurt me.
That's it.
You
Yeah.
know. So
Because you're trying to please the Father, and if you're trying to please God, I'm taken care of. I know I'm good. Yeah. Like
yeah, because you're gonna please me by my mood. If I look like this, you may want to write a check.
Something you said that's so key too, going back to Warren too. You said it wasn't always bad, but you said, but when it was bad, that's when I kind of like going back to your book, that's when you decided to leave. You're like, okay, it's not getting better. I recognize, I see
Yeah.
that it's bad.
Yeah. And I put a plan together. I remember, listen, before I had the name Butterfly, my name was Fabulous. The girls at work called me Miss Fabulous. And let me tell you why. One day, everybody was meeting at the elevator. Where we're going for lunch? I said, I'm going to get me an apartment on my lunch break before the divorce. And we had me and my ex, we had talked about the divorce. We talked it out. We was like, and we agreed we were gonna get a divorce. We were kind of waiting for some months to pass by because of he was in politics and the election was coming up. So I didn't want it to look bad for him.
Yeah.
But he was still being, drama at the house. And so I was like, I'm tired. I was getting to the point where when I got off work, I drove by my house. I didn't stop.
Wow.
I drove by my house and went to Walmart and walked around for an hour.
Wow.
I did not want to go home. My boys were there. I did not want to go home. And I was like, I can't do that. You don't feel welcome in your own house. So on my lunch break that day, I said, I'm going to get me an apartment. I'm going to pay a deposit on my apartment. And that's what I did. And they were like, fabulous. What? They were like, because I had been talking, how you get into the mindset of I'm gonna get a divorce, and you kind of tell a few friends I'm getting a divorce, and people don't actually believe you're gonna do it because it's a big step.
Yeah,
they really don't believe you do it. So when I say I'm going to pay my deposit on my apartment, they're like, oh snap, she gonna do this. She's going through with it,
Yeah.
So because and then it scares everybody else who married and who who on the verge of a breaking point. It kind of scared them, like, ooh, if she get a divorce, then I may get a divorce. That may happen to me. Then then so sometimes some of the married people don't want to hang around you because you've done the unthinkable. You've gotten a divorce.
And you did it. You went and got your apartment
and filed that paperwork after March 1st, because March 1st was when the deadline for a person to file against him, to run against him in an election. And the deed was done.
Wow.
Yeah, move out. Sure did.
Wow. That's so wild to me because of just the strength to know, okay, I choose me. I choose better. I choose life. I choose to live it the way that I know that I can. So to all the ladies who are listening, we only have 3 minutes. To all the ladies who are listening, it is the week of basically, I should say the month of love. We always say Valentine's. You'll see it in the stores. When you go to Walmart, when you go to Target, you'll see how they're putting up all of the things. Or maybe still now. But even though things that may represent love go on sale and may be out of sight, what we need to always keep in sight is how to love ourselves, how to choose us and put this person do the work. Can you just kind of give us some closing remarks on that thing we call postpartum? What you are doing today still to choose you and put you first, to make sure that you never repeat those past patterns.
Okay. Don't get caught up in other people's lifestyle. We want to mimic other people. That's why Twitter's popular and Instagram is popular. We see other people's lives and we want to live what they're living, but you don't know what's going on in those 4 walls. So just be your authentic self and you'll find the person that you need to be. So just be your authentic self, pay attention to the signs, say what you need to say, and go when you need to go.
Period, point blank.
Period, point blank. Just when you stay too long, everything has an expiration. Everything has a season. Don't be afraid of your season ending with someone. Don't hang on to expired things. If you drink expired milk, you're gonna get sick.
Woo, that's deep. And we're not saying, I just want to clarify, you're not saying, hey, if you're in a relationship and things are good and you, or maybe you're just having a downtime, bad time, doesn't mean that you divorced, because once marriage is perfect, you will always have to do the work. But you're saying if you're finding yourself sick because something has expired and it has expired, that's when
talk it over. I talked it over with number 1. I mean, number 2. Number 1, we talked it over too, and now I just have to make the decision because nothing, the habits were not changing. Number two, we talked it over, agreed, but it was done. Sometimes you think that, oh, if I say I want to get out this relationship or I want a divorce, you know, it's either gonna get better because that person doesn't want the relationship to end, or it's gonna expire. It's simple as that. You know, I hope that when people read the book that it causes them to have a better relationship,
Yeah.
a better love and appreciation for the other person. I don't want anybody to think that this is pushing divorce or anything like that. These are just my mistakes.
Yeah.
And I hate to use that word because it means it can be defined so many different ways, but I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about these people. I'm talking about me. You know, me and what I did and what came of it after I did what I did. You know, I went into every relationship with my eyes open and came out with some bruises, you know, and I just don't want people to be bruised anymore in their life, whether physical or emotionally or mentally. You know, you can decide how you want to live your life. Power and authority belongs to you, you know, and I just tell anyone, just read the definition of power of authority for 5 days. You know, do that for the next 5 days. Read that, and you'll understand where you are in your life as far as having authority over your life and power over your life. Because you either giving it away or you're controlling it, and you got to control it. Not in a, you know, and again, people, I don't want people to think, oh, she's telling the wife, you know, I'm not telling anybody to get out of order with God as far as their alignment with their family. No, but we all have power and authority, and you just have to figure out what yours is and act accordingly. I didn't. I didn't at times. Times I did, but there were other times I was just too carnal. I did not obey my spirit man in operating in my power and authority.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. We thank you for your transparency. We thank you for your heart. Yes, even when you told your story and you're still telling it today, you're
Yes.
you're saving lives, because we know we overcome by the word of our testimony. So if we never share our testimony, how will other people know? So I applaud you, which is why I support you wholeheartedly. It's your time to go forth and help others to find the courage to be set free.
Yay! And you can.
We're gonna say goodbye. So we're gonna say goodbye, and we'll see you all episode 3.
3.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.